The Community Reinvestment Act could be something other than just a way to respect the poor and underserved neighborhoods, but actually could be used very seriously as a tool for.
Our understanding of civil rights was, according to Dr. King, that we wanted to share responsibility for our own segregation, that it would not be able to exist if we didn't pay for it. And when we decided not to pay for it, it had to change. Then we're not going to spend our money here anymore. And it's amazing how quick those signs came down. But I think that was, and I look at Birmingham now, and Birmingham is booming. Memphis was in the dumps for a long time. And Memphis, just this last week, finally recognized the sanitation workers. And they put up I think a $50,000 something bonus to help them who didn't have pensions back. But I'm saying when you put money into the economy to help the poor, then it raises everybody. Yeah. And that's been our challenge here. And I think we've tried to do the best we could, but the reason I'm concerned about other cities so much is we're doing so good, everybody wants to come here. And it's sort of like Willie Brown in San Francisco. I mean, he had post office boxes, and he gave the homeless a check, and every month. And they registered the homeless, but the Fed here is a meeting place for almost everybody. And it's always been a part of our economic development, and it works well with neighborhoods and banks, and I think we know the importance of your business. And we're glad to have somebody with your private sector background there, and we need to find ways to help other cities, and I hope that's why I'm glad John has brought people from all over the nation to this place, because not to show off what we're doing, but to try to get some help. That's what Martin Luther King gave his life for, that we could end poverty. And government alone can never do that. And I think John has introduced to me even to the idea that a 700 credit score is another way to define freedom.
So somebody can wrap this up as we come to a close here, some themes. I have said that you've never seen a riot in a 700 credit score community in your entire life. The 700 credit score communities don't riot, they just want to go shopping. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, we refuse to finance our own oppression. Ambassador Andrew Young has said two things I think are sort of incredibly important. One is to live in a system of free enterprise and not to understand the rules of free enterprise must be the very definition of slavery. And then when he was in Africa, and I tagged along with him, he said to African leaders, 18 of them, you can make more money honestly in a growing economy than you can steal from a dying economy. And to me, I'm bringing that back down to what you've now just said, that Community Reinvestment Act can be a catalyst, not just a nice thing to do because of human dignity, but can be a catalyst for genuine, authentic economic growth. And what I'm hearing you say is that the poor and the underserved have a legitimate role to play in the growth of the economy of the United States of America.
Unquestionably.
It appears we're on the same page, which is remarkable in 2018 anywhere.
Well, you have people who are basically financially, I mean, they've learned or they wouldn't be here.
Right.
And I think our job and our responsibility is we've kind of learned to end our own poverty. Now, how do we continue Dr. King's dream and end poverty for the least of these God's children, wherever they might be, and help them not only to have jobs, but to learn to save money, invest money? I brag about our mayor and her husband because they did pretty good buying Home Depot stock at $2 a share when they first got out of law school.
Right.
And they're doing pretty good, and everybody couldn't understand. I said, they're doing the same thing that Arthur Blank and Bernie Marcus did, and they got to be billionaires. So you can stay in politics, and if you buy stock instead of shoes and wigs and
Hold on, everyone. Hold on. You're getting close.
and you know, I mean, if you buy the company instead of the goods, you become an owner, an investor, and then you got money working for you rather than you working for money. And money always does better than you can do. That's what I learned from John Bryant.
Don't blame it on me. You're talking about.
And my mama.
You're on your own on that one. You about to step way over the line. I saw some ladies going, wait a minute, Master. Let me see if I can bring this home.
She's calling us.
Yeah, and Fed Vice Chairman, you get the last word. Look, I've known this man for a long time. We need an advocate in these rooms. We need somebody who is speaking for us in the halls of power, who is remembering that the poor and the underserved have a legitimate role to play. George Fraser, you would agree with what I'm saying here. I think Reverend Jesse Jackson would agree, he's coming next, with what we're saying here, that we need somebody who cares about our agenda, who is thoughtful and intelligent and engaged. So this is a bit of a stretch. I'm going to acknowledge that, but I actually really like you and respect you because I want you to be a full advocate, a full card-carrying advocate when you go in these rooms of power. Today, I think you're so cool, I've just made you an honorary black man. On that, we're done.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sir, do you want your speech?
Bring the mayor up.
Yeah,
She's still.
All right, this is a quick break, folks, but we are very honored to have with us the mayor of Atlanta. So a lot of congratulations out to her, but Atlanta Mayor, the Honorable Keisha Lance Bottoms. Mayor.
The 60th mayor of the city of Atlanta, the Honorable Keisha Lance Bottoms.
Wow, what a gracious welcome, and thank you so much. It is such a pleasure to be here this evening, and I am so very delighted to bring you greetings on behalf of the City of Atlanta. It has been a very busy less than 90 days in the City of Atlanta, but it really is so fitting to be here to celebrate Ambassador Young. And the reason being, I love Ambassador Young because he loves us with everything that is in him. He teaches us how to love and how to care for one another. A couple of years ago, I was at the Young Family YMCA in Southwest Atlanta, and there was a young man there who came up to me and said, "You don't know what this place means to us." And, you know, I thought, well, it's a pretty cool place. You get to come and play basketball and do some pretty cool things. And he said, "You don't understand." He said, "If we didn't have this place to come to in the summer, I wouldn't eat."
Forgive me. I'll call you back.
This is what Ambassador Young does for us in our community. And he doesn't just do it in downtown hotels and sitting on stages in very fine ballrooms. He does it in our neighborhoods. He does it in our communities. He does it for our 16-year-old boys who are looking to have a meal in the summertime. Ambassador Young teaches us how to love, how to care for each other, and how to be people who can care for ourselves. I had the pleasure of calling Ambassador Young last week, and we were chatting about something, and I don't mind telling you, I'm still harboring some feelings from that very long campaign that ended in December. And in Ambassador Young's very amazing way, he said to me, "I forgave the people who killed Martin." And when Ambassador Young says that to you, then it makes you forgive everyone around you. And I share that with you because I know quite often we take people like Ambassador Young for granted because they are in our midst. But I just want you to know, Ambassador Young, that I don't take you for granted. I love you, I appreciate you, and the City of Atlanta is so very blessed to have you. And John, also thank you on behalf of the City of Atlanta for really educating us and making sure that our communities are strong. I began this morning with many events, but one included the ribbon cutting at Unity National Bank, a primarily African American bank that will serve underserved communities and the unbanked within our communities. And that really is what this is all about. It's about building wealth. It's about building a community. And so, Ambassador Young, on behalf of the City of Atlanta, I am so very pleased to present you with our newly remodeled Phoenix Award. And this is our new prototype. The Phoenix is a symbol of the City of Atlanta, and we give this award out often to people who are really remarkable in our city. But Ambassador Young, they've never received this one because we got this one in the mail today. So this one, I thought so very fitting to be able to share with you, Ambassador Young, just as a reminder to you of how much we care about you and how much better we are as a city because you love us. Thank you.
When I first met this lady, to know who she was in the swimming pool at that YMCA. And she was fluttering along, and I said, "What are you doing?" And she says, "I'm training for a triathlon." And there was a group of superwomen, about 25 or 30 of them, who had children, finished school, working, that had committed to do a triathlon. Now, I was on the swimming team and the track team, and I've ridden a bicycle across Georgia at least 4 times. But I never had the nerve or the confidence to try to do them all 3 in the same day. And they not only trained together and did it, and so she's not naturally fine. She's been working on it for 20 years. And she's smarter than she is fine.
What Ambassador Young didn't tell you, he said that day, he said, your kick is awful. So.
But not your legs.
Shows you Ambassador Young is married but not blind. And that's why we love him. Once again, that was Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, helping change the face of politics along with so many other women around the world. Now, folks, it is time for us to have another conversation with another really, truly civil rights leader. In conversation about civil rights, Reverend Jesse Jackson, founder and president of PUSH Coalition. We continue to have Ambassador Andrew Young, John Hope Bryant, and this panel will be moderated by Roland Martin. So stay tuned.
Ladies and gentlemen, 2 icons of the world, Reverend Jesse Jackson, Ambassador Andrew Young,
Oh, yeah.
my friend Roland Martin. Give him some love.
All right, then. Didn't you just have a birthday? You turned what, 86?
86.
86.
That's how I can get away with being
I
so
know that.
fresh.
When you're 86, you say what the hell you want to say. He's like, me too? He's like, whatever, I'm going to say what I want to say. So glad to see Ambassador Andrew Young. Glad to see Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr., also known as a man who didn't have the grades to get into Alpha Phi Alpha. But it's all good, though. And of course, John Hope Bryant. Good to see you, John. Before I ask the questions, I'm being straight up honest. I'm talking to my guy, Henry Peterson, out there, and he says, hey, I just got an email. They're asking if you could moderate the conversation with Ambassador Young and Reverend Jackson and John. I said, well, I'm here. Then I realized they sent an email out 4 days ago with my picture on it. And then I'm in the program. And so I appreciate the confidence, John, that you would think I was going to say yes for you to put me in the program to do this for free. But I appreciate that. Thank you so very much.
It's not for free. No, you have earned this. You've earned the right to be in this company.
And y'all can cheer all y'all want to,
No,
but that ain't gonna
I'm
buy
telling-
my wife a new pair of shoes. But I do want to start here. I do want to start here. Reverend Jackson, he don't know what to say.
No, Roland, you started it.
That's my outfit, brother. It's all good. A lot of folks who go by the White House never pay attention to the fact that there's only one federal agency that shares a lawn with the White House, Department of Treasury. To understand America, power, money. Money, power. How do we drive that messaging home that if we don't confront what is happening to African Americans economically, when we hit 2043, when we're a majority minority country, we might still be in the same position we are today? How do we begin to drive that messaging home constantly?
Well, that's what Dr. King gave his life for. He said he was living and working in SCLC to redeem the soul of America from the triple evils of racism, and that's what we went to the Supreme Court and the Justice Department for. War, that's what we went to the Department of Defense for, and poverty. And that's why we're at the Treasury, and that's why the Freedmen's Bank across the street from the Treasury is where Frederick Douglass left us when Lincoln was killed, and John knows that story better than I do. But this is what we did when we went to Chicago.
Operation
The
Breadbasket.
Operation Breadbasket was,
Run by Jesse.
but it also, I mean, you had Joe Louis milk that couldn't get on the shelf in the grocery stores in the black community. Johnson Products, hair care, couldn't get into the supermarkets and the drugstores. And that's what Operation Breadbasket was. It was about economic inclusion and generating business and wealth in the black community. The rent strikes, people who were living and paying rent and getting no heat. And Dr. King moved us into, was it Lawndale, 16th and Hamlin. And there were children in the bed wrapped in newspaper in 14 degrees below zero. And we just took all our money and put it together and bought coal and set the fires burning to warm up those slums. But then we sued them and took possession of the slums, turned it into condominiums where their notes were less than their rent has been. And so all of that happened in 1966. And we left Jesse in charge of it. And long before he was thinking about president, he was thinking about neighborhoods, and he was thinking about people in grocery stores. And he was thinking about minority-owned and female-owned business. So Operation Push, people united to save humanity, right? Serve humanity. No, save humanity.
Reverend Jackson, on that point, a lot of folks, they have heard of Breadbasket, and then they'll say, oh man, I get the boycott thing, but the kind of pressure you were applying to companies really created a number of black millionaires who were shut out of those stores after the Fair Housing Act, Civil Rights Act, Voting Rights Act. Talk about how critical that was to developing a black economic base in Chicago and across the country.
It seems that, first of all, thank you very much. It seems one thing we have to deal with is some policy behavior and some private behavior. That is to say that if you spend more than you have and vote less than you have, that's the formula for suicide. If you spend more than you have and vote less than you have, that's the formula. You must spend less than you make and vote all you can. You got to reverse our psychology. That's one piece of it. The second piece of it is
Y'all can clap on that. Go ahead.
the second piece of it, it seems to me, is that we got to look at today, 50 years after Dr. King's assassination, 54% of all the African Americans make less than $15 an hour. Half of them make less than $12 an hour, and half of them less than $9 an hour. That's working poor people. And then the other group is in what they call credit card debt. How does one leverage that money in ways that you begin to get returns on your investment? And it seems to me, just as we have focused on leveraging our votes to get elected officials, we also can leverage our economy to get the private sector, and that's where the wealth is. Roland, we went to, as you know, went to Silicon Valley, and you worked with us on this project. We went to Hewlett-Packard, and they said to us, we cannot share information about EEO1 because it puts us at a competitive disadvantage. So we bought stock in 25 companies. It gave us the right to go to shareholders meetings, and from that we raised the point of shareholders. They now have 4 blacks on the boards because the 100 largest cities are majority black and brown. We have economic leverage as we have political leverage.
Now, before you did that, Facebook had no African Americans on their board. Ken Chenault is now on their board of directors. Twitter had no black folks. Deborah Lee is now on their board. and that was because of that level of pressure.
Jim Bell's on the board of Apple.
Yeah, Apple.
Jim Bell at Apple.
John Thompson's on the board now as chairman of the board of Microsoft, because we use our economic leverage. And so just we have votes to fight with, we have dollars. In Chicago, in effect, what we did was you had this huge market of people who we couldn't even pick up the garbage. We don't pick up the garbage in a single city in America. Sludge is fudge if you're on the truck.
Hold up. And when you say don't pick up the garbage, we worked for the city. You mean who owned the contract?
Yeah, I mean, if you got say, an X chain store, and they have 6 barrels of waste a day, you pick it up. You can leverage that to get your truck and leverage that to bury it, and so that the ability to pick up our own waste is a multi-billion-dollar industry. For example, we could not get Johnson Products on the shelves. We couldn't get Johnson Publishing Company on the shelves. And we said, we want to cut, if you will, a mutually beneficial. You don't do business with us, don't do business with you. We began to leverage that and begin to open. But we went a step further because we couldn't stop at ghettonomics. We have more than our side of town. We demanded that the state treasury begin to put money in black banks. We begin to focus on pension funds. That's our money too.
Is that the Wall Street Project?
But the point is on Wall Street that I would make the case that we have 4 stages to our struggle. I would make fundamentally the 246 years of legal slavery. We had no rights, and when we got free, we never got equal. And for a moment we got equal, the gesture with the Freedmen's Bank, but they withdrew from that.
Yeah.
The second stage was Jim Crow. 5,000 blacks were lynched between 1880 and 1950. Then the right to vote. Now, beyond slavery and segregation and voting is access to capital, industry, technology, and deal. That's what we're now at the 4th stage of our struggle. Access, that's why they have the CRA guy sitting here. Access to capital, industry, technology, and deal is the time of our season.
John, when you were on my TV One show, News One Now, and first of all, let me thank all the folks. Y'all keep telling me how much you miss it. I certainly appreciate that. We had a great 4 years. Brother was blaming me. I said, look, I didn't decide to end the show. Calm down. But again, thank you for folks who watched it. It was great. But trust me, I'm working on something else. I'll let you know soon. John, when you were on the show, it was very interesting. You were on with your book. And I had some other folks who were on the panel.
Yeah.
And that was this fierce fight. And you would try not to engage, but you had to engage. And they were making the argument that you should not be focused on money. You should be focused on police brutality, criminal justice reform, mass incarceration. And you kept saying, if we don't deal with the money, you can't deal with that.
Or said another way, as Shimon Peres told me when I was in Jordan before, a few years before his death, he told me, John, people are going to criticize you when you embark on this mission. He said, you tell them when they tell you that, you tell them this. Even if you want to distribute money like a socialist, you've got to first collect money like a capitalist. And capitalism is like democracy. It's a horrible system except for every other system. So if we're subject to it anyway, when you're being run out of town, get in front of the crowd and make like a parade. We've got to turn on so-called negatives into so-called positives. And I'm not going out. I'm just sick and tired of being sick and tired. And we're not dumb and we're not stupid. It's what we don't know that we don't know that's killing us. And this is a quote I borrowed from Reverend Jackson. When the playing field is level, you tell me if I get this right now, when the playing field is level and the rules are published, we succeed.
The reason we do so well in athletics, we're so dumb. Repeat that whenever the playing field is even. And the rules are public. The goals are clear. The referee is fair. And the score is transparent. We can make it. But if on the football field, if we had to run 13 yards for a first down because we came a broken home, And white people inherited and had to run 7 yards. So we couldn't make them folks. The reason why we make it so well because it's clearly what 10 yards for all first downs, 3 points for all field goals, and you can see it when it goes to the uprights. And where life is visible, or where we have people behind closed doors who take light in dark places, we can make it. Nothing wrong with us, something wrong with the system.
The both of you were at Mason Temple the night of April 3rd, 1968, when Dr. King gave his mountaintop speech. Now, it drives me crazy that most people have only heard the last 2.5 minutes of that speech, but it was a 43-minute speech. And a significant part of that, he talked about economics. Yeah. He referenced you, Reverend Jackson, saying it's time to redistribute the pain. To your point, Ambassador Young, that speech he said, we put money in a black bank. He talked about what SCLC did in Memphis. He talked about boycotting the companies that don't do business with us. That was an economic speech, and it was a blueprint that he sort of gave. And it's interesting to me that so many people don't want to focus on that. What he was saying is we have to put pressure on folks that if you take our money as consumers, you need to employ us and do business with us and our own companies. How do we drive that messaging home today when folks say, we shouldn't do that stuff, that's old stuff, we way past that, Ambassador Young?
Yeah, but let me just say something that you mentioned that I didn't know. We're not asking for anything when we make somebody put Ken Chenault on the board. You know, I mean, Ken Chenault knows more about business than anybody. I mean, Facebook is all young folk. You know, and putting him on the board there is a blessing. That's sending a wise man who knows the global economy to a bunch of kids who know computers. Now, the same thing is true with poverty, that the market growth is always at the bottom. There was a book came out of Michigan. The fortune is at the bottom of the pyramid. Yeah. And we've been saying for some time that if you want to put money in Sears Roebuck, that was fine when I was growing up. But Sears went to Chicago and forgot the poor. And Sam Walton moved in, and Walmart now is the largest company, was the largest company in the city for a long time. Mm-hmm. And a Walmart stock was doing better than a Neiman Marcus stock. Mm-hmm. And so there's so many more poor people that if you bring poor people or poor nations into an economy, it's the best way to grow an economy.
Roland, I want to say again, here, if you spend more than you have, you become a debt slave. Mm. And you vote less than you have, you're foolish. If you, in fact, spend less than you have and can save and leverage and vote all you can coalesce. We got to reshift that. The idea in Memphis was that if Mayor Loeb was not going to recognize the sanitation workers, we're going to use our economic leverage to put pressure on corporations to make them either you respect these workers or we undermine your economy by not participating in the economy. And Dr. King said, we said, let's redistribute the pain. I am rather convinced that what we're doing right now in Atlanta, we're putting together the top 50 public corporations. We're judging them by their board of directors, the C-suites, EEO-1 reports, procurement, agenda, legal rights, financial services. We have more leverage on the corporation than we have on the government.
Now let's give an example there, because you and I talked about this here when you talk about the financial leverage piece. When I had you on the show every week with the Silicon Valley deal, you kept making the point that, to your point, folks like, yeah, one board member. You said no. I think it was Verizon, one of the companies. You said they were doing a $50 billion bond offering.
$62 billion.
But had no black law firms, no black financial investment advisors.
Advertising agencies, marketing.
So when you talk about Silicon Valley, you weren't focused on the engineers. 60% of all Silicon Valley jobs are not even in STEM.
Interesting that they were trying to get black engineers. They were going to USC and UCLA. There are no black engineers coming out because
Not Prairie View or Xavier.
Well, they're not coming in. They're not coming out. They're not getting. They recruit ball players. The most black engineers come out of black colleges. Number 1, A&T. Number 2, Morgan State. Number 3, Howard. Number 4, Morehouse and Spelman. Florida A&M and Prairie View. And so the HBCUs, the pipeline from Silicon Valley to HBCUs is a whole dimension of our work. And we must not be getting degrees in obsolescence. Get degrees in what matters.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
I think John got a new quote.
To have a PhD in what doesn't matter is a waste of time.
44% of all African Americans in this country have a credit score below 620. So to your point about what's on the program, talking about focusing on what matters, is police brutality reality? Of course it is. Is racism real? Of course it is. Is bias real? Of course it is. And all these things need pressure. All these things need attention.
But John, hold on.
But
can you explain that though? Because here's that, when you say 620,
I'm about to.
the difference between a 620 and 750 or 580 is what? 4.5% and 18%?
Oh no, it's worse than that. Literally, I don't care how many times you go to church. I don't care how nice you are, how sweet you are, how brilliant you are, how gracious you are. At 620 credit score, nobody will tell you this, you cannot get a small business loan. Cannot. Doesn't matter what else you do. Doesn't matter how great your business plan is. They will not. The banks will not give you I don't care white, black, orange, I don't care what color you are. They will not give you an unsecured small business loan at 620, which means that half of all black folks, effectively, PhDs, advanced degrees, and things that may or may not matter, cannot operationalize their dream and don't know why.
And in fact, we saw that March 14th, 2014, Wall Street Journal had a front page article. I was going to a Radio 1 event in Raleigh, and 23.09 billion in small business loans were given in 2013. African Americans got 385 million.
Yeah.
And I immediately called the White House and said, I need somebody from the SBA on Tom Joyner the next day.
Yeah.
They messed around, and it took them literally 90 days to get somebody on. And I told the Obama administration, I might be talking about entertainment, and I'm gonna bring that money up. I will kick y'all behind every day until you come on to explain how you're going to confront this, because in the last year of President Bush, 2008, we got 8.2% of all loans. 1.7% because there was a housing crisis. So to your point, that 620, we went from 8.2% of all SBA loans in 2008 to 1.7% in 2013.
And if you have a credit score of 580, 580.
Let me break it.
Go ahead.
No,
go ahead.
What was the interest you paid on the first car you bought?
Well, that's what I'm about to say. My interest rate, when I had a 580 credit score, my interest rate was 18%.
And what was your interest rate on your last car?
1.99. So you're driving, at 18%, you're driving around in a financial bomb. It's going to explode. And if you're driving a Mercedes, it's Mercedes payments. So there may be two Mercedes on the highway. One's at 1.99 interest rate. One's at 18% interest rate. One of them is literally driving you into the poorhouse.
And so for the people who are watching who might say, but John, I don't want to open a business, what we're saying is that at 580 or 600, you are paying so much more to live. And to your point, you are going to always be in debt. So you're paying more for everything.
But wait a minute. Half of all, Reverend Jackson will tell you this, I learned this from him. Half of all employers check your credit. Did you know that? Before they'll hire you.
And it's also state law in many of these places. Because in 1991, when I graduated from Texas A&M, Alabama had a state law that they allowed you to factor your credit score as to whether or not you hired somebody. In the Birmingham News, all 16 editors said we want to hire him, but the HR department said no because of my college credit score. And I never let the Birmingham News forget that. But this was as far as back as 1991, and we have some folks in the military who can't get a security clearance because of their credit
That's
score.
right.
Dr. King put a combination of public sector and private. For example, we all now embrace Social Security. It literally lifted every American out of poverty.
Yeah.
For example, President Obama passed the Affordable Health Care Act. What they did was, that was a major lifter. They put a black hand on it and called it Obamacare. There's no such bill as Obamacare. There's no such, and you have people who are fighting against Obamacare who want affordable health. They want the omelet, didn't want the eggs. Say amen. My point is the government has a role to pick because why did we have the crisis? When they took the governors off of banks, banks targeted, stealing clustered black and brown homes and took our homes and ran us with subprime lending schemes. So we need a combination of access to credit and protection. We need access and credit.
So Ambassador Young, here we are. Trump is sitting in the White House, and I've had conversations with people, black folks, who said, I don't want nothing to do with that man, nothing with what they're doing. And I make the argument, I understand how you feel, but we can't just walk away for 4 years and not force them to. So how do we break through that to the folks who say, I don't want nothing to do with him, and nobody black should even meet with him?
No, the last man to sit here was the Vice President of the Federal Reserve. And John, he's here, and I guess he's appointed by this administration.
Yeah.
But he's here talking with us about money. Now, I don't have any problem talking with anybody anywhere about money. Okay? And because that's where we are. Race was about black and white. But now both black and white need some green. And it's the reason I would not criticize the white racists who were in Charlottesville. I said, these are just poor folk who don't know no better. They want to blame us for them being poor and not look at their senator that gave them jobs, coal mining jobs, that are going to give them black lung disease, and then wouldn't give them health insurance. That's not being smart. And being white doesn't help you if you're in a coal mine.
But there.
Actually, walk out black.
But
Inside.
but the ignorance must at least be illegal.
What's that? Repeat that.
The ignorance must be illegal. Ignorance does not give them the right to violate people's basic rights.
No.
Because in a real sense, why are whites so abundant when we got freed in 1865, 246 years after slavery, we were behind 246 in everything. Slavery was legal. Jim Crow was legal. Denying us access to banks was legal. Denying us access to get a bank licenses was legal. And it was taken back from us arbitrarily. That's why a combination of voting and the economy, that's why both are both are very important.
So, Reverend Jackson, you would agree is the question that civil rights or social justice and economic empowerment or the financial aspects of this movement have always been intertwined?
Yeah, for example, there are 19,000 automobile dealerships. We had 900, now we have 340.
Wow.
And we bailed out the auto industry without bailing out blacks who had been locked out. That was a bad thing. We were race insensitive and should have been race sensitive, race conscious of the fact we had just got in 1966 in Chicago with Al Johnson. And the same is true with the automotive industry, all those suppliers. There's nothing we cannot do in that industry, but without protection of law, we can't get it. And that's so fundamentally true. And that's why we must afford affordable health care and affordable. These kids who are now marching, and thanks be to God they are marching. But if you march and unregistered, you're kids. If you march and vote, you can distinguish constituents. They must use their leverage to vote. Also use their leverage to spend and to invest.
John.
We must be shareholders, not just sharecroppers. I'll go to a given GM board meeting, and there'll be 200 people deciding multi-billion-dollar decision. Be 300 people there, and 3 blacks. The 2 who watching me and me. I mean, I'll go to a Coca-Cola board meeting here in Atlanta. There'll be 300 people at the Coca-Cola shareholders meeting. Coke is the #1 purchaser of sugar in all of Africa. The #1 employer in all of Africa is Coca-Cola. From South Africa to Egypt is Coca-Cola. And yet, given that they buy more oranges, the #1 purchase of oranges in all of Latin America is Coca-Cola. Making those competitions, they right in Atlanta, 300 members at shareholders meeting, and less than 5 African American. The new battlefield is not at the Board of Education meeting protesting with the picket sign. It's at the shareholders meeting is a new platform.
Ambassador,
Ask George Soros that, the white fellow sitting right there. George, sir.
Ambassador Young. Actually, that's George Frazier. But yeah, I see you, George. Ambassador Young, when Maynard Jackson was elected, 0.0012% of all contracts in this city went to African Americans. So that's 12 cents out of every $100. He used the power of the mayoral office to say to banks, I have folks who got city contracts, extend lines of credit to them. I have folks today who say, oh, you can't do it today. I'm trying to understand why not. If cities are still putting millions of dollars in banks, why can't a mayor or governor say, these are people who have got city or state contracts, you should extend city, lines of credit to them, and if you don't, we'll put our money in a bank that does.
Well, the city of Atlanta did that. And some of the company that was doing the food service at a number of black colleges was not able to get a loan. So we had to do it legally. We put out a request for proposal. Who will offer opportunities for minority business to get lines of credit like other business? And only one bank showed up. And so we took all the city money and put it in that bank. And then all of a sudden, when they realized what was going on, then everybody else came to attention, and we told them why, and then they started doing a little better.
But it's interesting when
Roland,
I bring it up to
Roland,
mayors today, they look at me like I'm crazy. They go, well, I don't know if I can do that. And I'm going,
No.
why not?
You have to do it. And Maynard actually held up the airport for a whole year until there was an agreement that 25% of each and every contract, and not just the lawn mowing or the cement mixing, but we integrated Wall Street because we would not sell bonds in a company that did not have a black vice president capable of making deals with cities. And I think the whole, NASS, the National Association of Security Professionals, there must be how many of them now? I don't know. But they all started here because Atlanta would not do any business with anybody that did not have a minority investment banker in their portfolio.
Roland, if I might make this case, most of our businesses are post-1965.
Yeah.
Prior to most of our businesses were funeral homes.
Today is 2.6 million black-owned businesses, 2.5 million only have one employee.
Because when we become mayors of cities, the procurement list, lawyers, advertising, marketing, jobs that are not even on the radar screen. When we got the right to vote, all of a sudden we start getting black auto companies and McDonald's and Burger King franchises. With the vote comes the power, with the power comes the vote. That's why there's a dynamic interplay between civil and civil rights, because one plays upon the other.
Right.
But the vote protects the money. The money invests in the vote, and it's a dynamic between oaths and votes. It kind of goes together.
Yes, absolutely. So I was talking about I want to talk about the impact of Reverend Jackson.
Ocean votes, you got that?
Yeah, I steal everything you. Everything. No, but so Dr. King used to say to pastors when he heard something great. He said, "Now, Joe, the first 3 times you say that, I'm gonna give you credit, but the fourth time is mine."
There you go.
So, I want to make it clear that what you're hearing, you're not hearing us say that you get a pass and a seat at the table simply because you're black, or you're Latino, or you're female, or you're Asian, or you're Indian, or you're some minority. Oh, we feel sorry for you. We're going to put incompetence at the table, and everybody else has to deal with that. Be clear, we're not saying that. You cannot be black for a living. You got to be a great leader who happens to be black and not just a black leader. So I'm at what was recently CBS Radio, formerly has been bought, last week, and I'm doing an interview, and I mentioned that Reverend Jackson's coming to speak. They light up like a Christmas tree. Now, a friend of mine I've known for 10 years, who's the general manager of that station, is Rick Caffey. Rick Caffey, anybody know Rick Caffey? He's a bad brother, sharp as a tack, clearly competent, and runs a profitable shop. He says, you know something? The company that originally brought this company into the marketplace was going to bring somebody else into this seat, and Reverend Jackson stepped up and said, without screaming, without hollering, look, this is a minority city. It's just not right that you can make all this money on minority people and not give people a shot who are minorities at running at least one seat in this company. Just let me find somebody who's right. Because of Reverend Jackson, I learned, Rick Caffey got that job, and it's been profitable every day since.
You know, it concerns
Rick,
me
they should have sent that check to Operation Push.
I'm concerned that there are 32 football teams, and we own 0. We're going from picking cotton balls to picking footballs. It is illegal if you make 10 million. It's illegal to use your money to buy a team. Back up. You make $50 million. It's illegal to spend your money to buy a team. How is that? It's illegal. That's the rules of the 32. They determine who else gets in. And even your money won't spend.
As Colin Kaepernick and Eric Reed.
Baseball teams as in 0. Basketball teams as in 1. And so picking cotton was not so bad. It was that we could not own the field it was planted in. We could not go vertical. We could only pick at the bottom. We could not go vertical and turn the cotton into textiles and textiles into the marketplace. And so today, a challenge that we have is to be able to turn our athletic prowess into the marketplace and go vertical, not just go horizontal. Because while we run up and down the field horizontal, running and getting gold rings, they run up and down getting silver rings.
And in fact, and the folks sitting in the suites up there, none of them are getting concussions.
And explain this, Andy. For example, the leveraging, the stadium here, this big thing, how was that deal put together?
What was that?
The stadium.
The stadium here in Atlanta.
You would think that Mr. Blankenstein just wrote a check and got the stadium. What all went into making the leverage that capital? Explain that.
No. First of all, the city had to sign a joint agreement on bond guarantee. Now,
it's a bond guarantee.
the city will not be responsible for it. The taxpayers will not be responsible for it. The bond guarantee is tied to, well, everybody staying here tonight, any hotel in Atlanta, you're going to have an extra $1 on your hotel bill per night. And everybody that came to the Final Four or the Sweet 16 last weekend, everybody that came spent at least $1 a night toward helping us pay for that stadium.
Number 2, next.
Well,
what I'm trying to get to, the man did not just write the check and get the stadium. The bond deal and the leveraging of capital is way beyond just a saving account. Keep going.
Well, no, the football team, the league, the NFL has certain guarantees of television revenues
Yes, right.
that are pledged against that stadium.
3 next.
Well, Arthur Blank did have to write a check, but not as big a check as you think he bought.
But my point is, if you get the football team,
Right.
you get the cotton pickers and the ball pickers, you get the letter of intent to get. But letter of intent, everything else flows. He wrote a relatively small check, and he owns a whole campus.
So what you're saying, Reverend, is he buys this team, he gets a new stadium, he writes a smaller check, he leverages that to get the city, to get all of that, and the value of his team now goes past $2 billion by virtue of the new stadium. And so what was initially a $300, $400, $500, $600 million investment, like the Houston Texans owner, that team is now worth $2.5 billion. And he got a new stadium because he leveraged the state team to get the stadium.
So let me see if I can. I want to make sure we're all saying the same thing.
Can I break it down just
Leverage
to our level, to our mayor? When she and her husband came out of law school, he went to work for Home Depot. And he could buy Home Depot stock at $2 a share. That means every time you bought a Coca-Cola, every time you bought a pack of cigarettes, every time you bought anything, if you had bought a share of Home Depot stock, you would now be a millionaire. And that's how they were able to set aside money, because those $2 shares that started out in the beginning with Home Depot are now worth about $200 a share. And so they were saving money to send their 4 kids to college, and so they started out buying $2 shares.
Sharecropper to shareholder.
And they were able to then, having that stock, leverage that stock to buy, whether it's a home or even.
Well, they got in trouble because they got criticized because people said, why can 2 young black people have a home in Martha's Vineyard that cost $1 million? It wouldn't have been a problem if it had been 2 white lawyers having a home down in Sea Island that cost $2 million. But it was just unusual that these folk who went to Douglas and Mays had enough sense not to buy cigarettes, but to buy stock.
Now,
They got-
John, I want to get to that point there.
Yeah,
'Cause
they got the memo.
I want to get to, when I was speaking to a public housing complex in Bryant, I had a session,
Yeah.
and we were talking. This woman said, "I have no money," and she was holding a bottle of soda. I said, "Yes, you do," and she said, "Well, I don't." I said, "Could you have drank water?" She and I said, "Now look, we all want to drink whatever we want to,"
Right.
but she did not think that the cost of that was actual money. She said, "No, I bought it, but I'm broke." You encountered that where people say, "I'm broke." You dealt with the young brothers in the Nikes.
That's right.
Tell the story when you would try to get them to understand, one who wanted to buy the shoes and one said, "I don't."
So we go to this financial literacy course, Reverend Jackson, in Detroit. We're teaching banking our future. And a young man comes in with a suit on to teach the class and of color. The young man in the front row, all his boys are listening to the class, but young man Derek is paying attention. Second session, young man Derek raises his hand, asking questions, and by the 3rd week, he comes with a suit on, just like the guy who's teaching the class, trying to mirror what he sees. He graduates, gets a certificate. He's walking down the hall. Get this now. This is poverty and mentality. He's walking down the hall. His friends say, "Man, why are you hanging out with those people? That ain't about nothing. What you want that for?" I'm walking down the hall, so I go and say, "Hey, man, let me get you and your friends together. I'm going to give you each $70. Make a decision about Nike." 2 friends said, "Well, I'm going to buy me some Air Jordan, which you need another $30. Derek says, "I want to buy a share of Nike stock." 2 friends jump on him. "Man, why you want to get that stock? That's some stupid thing. You know, you don't want no stock. You want some Air Jordans. Everybody in shoes got some Air Jordans, some fuchsia Air Jordans, some black Air Jordans, some striped Air Jordans, some leather Air Jordans. Everybody in school's got some Air. You need to stop being stupid and get you some Air Jordans." I go to defend his honor, put my hand on, "Man, you okay?" He said, No, it's cool. I want them to buy those shoes.
But
Because when they do, they're making me money. And this is how we need to upgrade our mental software. Because when you hang around 9 broke people, I guarantee you, you'll be the 10th.
Now, Reverend Jackson,
May I
Reverend
ask you a question?
Go ahead.
We got a thousand churches teaching financial literacy
Yeah.
in the stock market game. What's an app? What's the code? What's the bull? What's the bad? Fundamental stuff. Because it's not that people are apathetic. People are ignorant, don't know any better.
That's right.
And if those who teach you ignorant, they simply spread it.
Yeah.
Let's go a step further.
Yeah.
After 6 weeks of financial stock market game, we took a group downtown to the Chicago Board of Trade, and we had told them, we gave each of them $100 on how to make their money grow. Money will grow on trees if it's planted in money mud. Money will grow on trees if it's planted in money mud.
I'm still in that one too, brother.
Well, where I got that from was Ted Turner one time gave a bigger nod to the United Nations. They said, Ted Turner, well, you showing off. He said, no, I want to be a good guy. No, you was trying to get CNN in different markets. He said, no. He said, how'd you give it? He said, I went to bed, I was worth $1 billion. I woke up, I was worth $3 billion. And so I gave $1 billion to do a righteous thing. The money was growing while he was sleeping. The money was planted and it grew. So in our little situation back home, we had the children lined up, putting the T-shirts on. A little girl named Tuesday would not put a T-shirt on. I thought she was being recalcitrant and kind of not kind. She had some raggedy blue jeans. I thought she was raggedy because she was impoverished. I know that she bought them raggedy. I didn't understand. Yeah.
I don't understand what the hell that mean either. Buying raggedy jeans.
I understand.
Get it.
And so she said, "Is the press out front?" We said, "Yeah, the camera's here." She said, "Well, I want to wear my own T-shirt because I have bought some stock in Old Navy, and kids my age, I want to advertise my brand and make my money grow." She had learned in 6 weeks the science that you don't just wrap fish in the financial section. So if our kids come out of school and don't vote, they've not been taught to vote. They come out and don't spend capital, they've not been taught. Say children,
Right.
say children must be taught
Let's be taught
the power
the power
of their vote.
of their vote.
Every high school senior class, 17 years old today, 18 by November, is eligible to register and vote now. Every high school senior for 12 years been buying, not investing, sinking, and not rising. If we teach stock market, we'll know stock market. If we teach voting, we'll know voting. And I challenge teachers, Andy, to teach what matters. And votes and stocks matter.
Ambassador Young.
Here's what we teach and don't believe. Ted Turner had $3 billion and pledged $1 billion to the United Nations. And about 2 years later, CNN and the United Nations had gotten so big that somebody bought them out for $9 billion.
AOL. Yep.
See? And so I was on the United Nations board, and I said, Ted, you don't believe in God. See, he says he's an atheist. I said, but I just want you to notice that you gave $1 billion and you got $9 billion back. You can't beat God given. Now,
And he probably said,
write
"Thank
that down.
Thank you, Jesus."
You've heard that over and over and over again. But when you invest money and when you give money properly, it grows. And that's what we're about. We're about understanding the money. And I've been as guilty as anybody else. And Dr. King was guilty of not taking the time to understand money because he was afraid. He said, every civil rights organization that has been undermined by money. Most of our churches. But the other thing my daddy taught me when I was a little bitty boy, he said, see this soap? This is ivory soap. It's 99 and 44/100% pure. He said, now that's pretty good. I said, yeah. He said, that ain't good enough for you. Ivory soap is white, and you black. You cannot cut a corner. They're going to be watching you cutting a corner. You have to be 100% if you're dealing with other people's money or your own.
That's right.
And so that honesty and integrity factor has got to go into everything we do, and they don't believe that there's nobody watching you.
That's right.
The more successful you get,
That's right.
the more people are trying to figure how to take you down.
That's right.
Now, unfortunately, that's the way life is.
That's right.
Well,
As-
in the fact that the sum total of lessons that we've learned all matter. For example, when I hear that I have a dream part, the climax part that Roland refers to all the time, from Texas to Florida to Maryland, we couldn't use a single public toilet, medical degree, PhD degree, or whatever degree you had. We could not take a picture of the lawn of a state capitol from Texas to Florida to Maryland. We could not buy ice cream at Howard Johnson. We could not run a room at Holiday Inn. Black and brown soldiers cried because they had to sit behind Nazi POWs. So even money without dignity does not work. Dignity matters. Dr. King let us on the dignity. Out of the dignity comes the self-worth and the community worth. And so Dr. King taught what was in time. He took us from Jim Crow, the right to vote. Now we have some unfinished business. When people go to Memphis next week, don't just come to the balcony where he was slain. Beyond the crucifixion is the resurrection. He ain't there. The stone has been rolled away. He gone. The stone has been rolled away. He marched in Washington Saturday when his grandchild spoke. He marched. He's alive when we got Mandela out of jail. He marched when we got Aristide out of back into Haiti. And even under the Trump situation, when it's real dark, you see the stars more clearly. This year, we had a governor's race in New Jersey. We won the governor's race and got a black lieutenant governor, even under the Trump era. In Virginia, one guy chose a Confederate flag. We chose another. We won, got a black lieutenant governor out of Virginia. And with Trump and Roy Moore, we beat them in Alabama. We can take the Congress back.
Black woman running for Georgia, black man running for governor in Florida.
And the votes are there, the mentality is there. 500,000 blacks in Georgia unregistered. If our mind is there, the means are here. If we use the means, we'll get our goal.
Last question.
But let's
Go ahead.
While we talk, I'm all for politics, but everybody can't be governor. Everybody can't be
Right.
mayor. We had 9 people. We had 4 guys from Morehouse that couldn't talk to each other, and we came within less than 1,000 votes of losing all of the progress that we've made in this city. When you go up to your room tonight, look out. Any way you look, south, north, east, or west, none of that was there when Dr. King was slain. I came back here, Maynard came back here and ran for the Senate. I came back and got pushed into Congress. Not because I wanted to be a congressman, but that was the last meeting we had before Martin Luther King went to Memphis that Monday morning. He was with John Conyers, Harry Belafonte, Dick Hatcher, and myself and Ralph Abernathy, and he was saying we got to take this energy that we have in the streets marching, and we've somehow got to translate it into electable officials so that we don't have to march every time we want to do something. Now, once we get somebody in, I was glad that I got sworn in as mayor, not wanting to be. At 10:30 in the morning, I got to City Hall about 1 o'clock. At 2 o'clock, they came to get me out of the office, and I hadn't even gotten my shoes off and gotten comfortable. They say, they picketing you out there. I said, who's picketing me? So I don't know. There's a whole bunch of folk out there. They saying, tell old Pharaoh to let my people go. And I go out there, there's Jose Williams, and James Bevel, and James Orange, all my boys. I said, what? And then I realized, this is a blessing. The more hell you raise with me, the more leverage I got. So pick it on. We'll sing We Shall Overcome Together. And so you got to, when you put somebody in, you got to back them up and make them do the things that are hard to do.
Are you suggesting the lack of applied pressure on Barack Obama did not help us?
It hurt him.
I'll say it.
And
The
it
answer
hurt
is
us.
yes. The answer is yes.
We never would have let anybody get away with bailing out the automobile industry and losing 2/3 of the black dealerships. I mean, we wouldn't have, and it wasn't just him, but none of us were close to him. And it was your mayor, Rahm Emanuel, and the former Secretary of Treasury, what was his name, from
Bill
Harvard?
Daley.
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 No, the treasurer from Harvard.
Oh, Jack Lew.
No, but anyway,
Which one?
Larry Summers.
Oh, White House Council Economic Advisor.
Yeah, they would not let even Sheila Baird, who spoke at this conference a few years ago, they wouldn't let her talk.
She quit.
They wouldn't let Elizabeth Warren talk to Barack Obama. He was isolated from people who could have helped him to help us. And it wasn't racial. And that's why you have to find a way. I never took a penny from the Carter campaign, because I wanted to have the leverage. I didn't need a job. I needed him to know that we were bringing all of the SEL Martin Luther King, Black College folk together behind him. And that's what gave me the access to say whatever I needed to say.
All he had was peanuts.
Last question. You ain't right for that, Reverend. You ain't right. You ain't right. You ain't right. George Washington Carver did a hell of a whole lot with that peanut. Last question.
But he wasn't from Plains, Georgia.
There are a lot of people hearing this conversation, and I guarantee you somebody in this room is saying, man, if we can just get all of the decision makers together and get consensus, we can sort of fix this problem. The reality is there are more people sitting in this room right now than who were sitting in the church basement in Montgomery in 1955. A handful of people took a one-day boycott, made it a week, went 381 days, and then went on a 13-year odyssey that changed the world. What do you want each individual in this room to do when they leave here to advance this conversation we've talked about? John, I'm gonna start with you. What's the challenge for every person sitting in this room?
So I want you to leave tonight, and you're about to get some real, a wonderful send-off for my friend Chris Tucker, our friend. But I want you to leave tonight full of hope, yes. But I want you to show up tomorrow recognizing that God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth, so you listen twice as much as you talk. Come back tomorrow with an open mind and a filled pen, and be ready to get to work. Number 2, we need to stop saying stupid things like we hate rich people. No, you don't. You hate rich people until you become rich. So what we're saying is, I don't understand the system. I'm smart, and I thought that I should succeed. And when I don't, the rest of the system must be corrupt, because we never got the memo on money and how this system works, which is fair, a fair analogy. Now, what we did here to bring this home, we got billionaires here tonight, next to multimillionaires, next to Fortune 500 CEOs, next to thousandaires, next to somebody trying to buy some air. And at the next time we do this, I want my white rural brothers in this room too, because they got the same problem that my urban black brothers and sisters have. Yes, when mainstream America, when mainstream has a headache, black folks got pneumonia, but we're all sick. But they're all dealing with a 500 credit score neighborhood, with a check casher next to a payday loan lender, next to a rent-to-own store, next to a liquor store. And I'm tired of us pitting each other against each other. Ignorant people against ignorant people, frustrated people against frustrated people. You can take no pleasure from the fact that there's a hole in my end of our boat. We're all in this thing together. And we need to recognize what Ambassador Young has said eloquently and Reverend Jackson said in a different way. And you say it every day on your programs. We've all said the same thing. Whether you're white, black, red, brown, or yellow, we all want to see some more green. We can agree on that. Here's what Dr. King said, I believe, in '68. You cannot legislate goodness. You cannot pass a law to force someone to respect you. The only way to social justice in a capitalist country is economics and ownership. Now, we don't repeat that quote, but we need to be rocking all of this, because it was a march for jobs and freedom. Jobs and freedom.
Reverend Jackson.
One of the lessons we take away from here tonight is there are 4 million African Americans in the South today unregistered to vote. The former slave states have the key to our destiny. 2.5 million blacks in the South registered who did not vote. Voting is important because voters determine justices on the courts. Voters is important because the rich people can take $26 billion from affordable health and give it to the top 1%. So the power of politics can make some irrational decisions at the expense of poor people. So the first thing is understand we must maximize our vote, because voting matters. And the kind of things that Andy and Maynard Jackson did for Atlanta is available everywhere if you can leverage capital, but you can't leverage it unless you're in the seat of power to do the leveraging. Second piece is that buy shares of stock.
Yep.
Learn to buy shares and teach your children to buy shares of. John Rogers is real often. Yep. John Rogers' parents, when he was a child, bought him stock at Christmas, not just stockings and balls. He learned to play ball. He did that through college as well, but he learned 9, 10, 11, he was reading the stock market page. Teach your children the stock market page and teach them stock market games. The third thing is learn how to leverage capital. I was trying to push Andy on the fact that Mr. Blinken, what is the name? Arthur Blinken?
Arthur Blank.
Yeah. He put up relatively little money, but now a casino owner, he leveraged. If I get the letter, if somebody tells me that Jesse Jackson, you own the rights to the Atlanta Falcons football team, I can have no money. I can take the letter of intent to own them and go to the city and get some property. Take the intent and get ads, intent and get banks. Letter of intent, which is leverage. We must also, in addition to getting shares, learn how to leverage capital. And I think no one has leveraged capital, I think, better than the Young has, and the man as a tandem. Because you would not have had the Olympics in Atlanta had not Andy and Maynard leveraged their collective moral authority to get the Olympics in Atlanta. Leveraging matters. And when I look up, and also the reason why I want you writers to interpret properly, when Alabama played Georgia in the big football game here, it really was the King Bowl, because you had, on the one hand, you had George Wallace, who is never, ever in his graveyard, and they were playing ball. Lester Maddox and his, another king in his. And that game would not have been possible had we not leveraged our strength to make it possible, and to have ball analysts interpreting the game and not representing what made the game possible makes us feel diminished. We cannot allow any more erasing of our history. Our history
Right.
must not be erased. We must, in fact, take light in dark places.
Ambassador Andrew Young.
Well, forgive me, but I have never been smart enough to know what I was supposed to do the next day. And I don't know what to tell you to do. But what I have done is listen to Isaiah. Wait on the Lord. Be of good courage, and he will strengthen your heart. They that wait on the Lord will renew their strength. They will run and they will mount up with wings like eagles. They will run and not get weary. They will walk and not faint. And so I will quote Ralph Abernathy and say, I don't know what the future holds, and I can't give you directions for the future. But I just told you who holds the future, and you know too.
My final comment. I guess it was a couple of years ago, John and I were talking, and John was talking about, hey, I want to get my message out, things along those lines. And I said, John, stop with the quick little videos. I said, you need to be live streaming on Facebook. And so you passed how many views now?
55 million.
5 million.
55 million.
55 million since we had that conversation. And folks have said, oh my goodness, what are we going to do? I can't see your show. I said, if you get caught up in a show ending and not staying focused on the future, then you'll lose sight of what's happening. Even though we've been having this conversation in this room, more than 1,000 people, I've already checked. We probably, between John's Facebook page, my Facebook page, YouTube, and Periscope, we've been live streaming this event. So more than 50,000 people have actually been watching this conversation. We didn't ask for a network to cover it. We just simply said, we live stream it ourselves. Cameras out there, I own my own cameras. The point there is, the Reverend, you just made the story about erasing our history. If we allow or wait for someone else to tell our story, then they will own our narrative. If we, and in fact, Dr. King in whether we, Chaos or Community, whether we go from here, he said there has to, a black press must maintain a militant black press in order to represent our interest. The only way this is going to continue to be told is if we are in control of our own narrative. We cannot continue in the future to ask ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC to tell our story. If we do not own our own media, this conversation cannot go where it needs to be most effective. And so I know what I'm working on. You will hear it soon. But this is about owning our narrative, and that's how we educate our people.
But Roland, we must own it and make sense at the same time.
Oh, I'm gonna make sense, but I'm trying to own it too.
Yeah, but you,
Yes.
you get my drift?
Yes.
Because if we own it, if we just become chocolate white people, then we'll own it, but the direction won't change. We need more than complexion, we need direction. Say I am somebody.
Somebody.
I am
I am.
somebody.
Somebody.
Respect me.
Respect me.
Protect me. Never neglect me. I am somebody. My mind is a pearl.
Is a pearl.
I can learn anything
And learn anything
in the world.
In the world.
If my mind can conceive it and my heart can believe it, I know I can achieve it.
I can achieve
Stop
it.
the violence.
Stop the violence.
Save the children.
Save the
Stop
children.
the violence.
Stop the
Save
violence.
the children.
Save-
Deep water. Deep water
Deep water
does not drown you.
does not drown
You
you.
drown
You drown
when you stop kicking.
when you stop kicking.
Kick on.
Reverend, you left one thing. Go ahead and say A5.
No.
All right, Reverend Jackson, will you please step over here for a minute? Come over here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, hold on. Don't move. We're about to hear from Chris Tucker. But before you do that, we'll wrap this up. I got a surprise for Reverend Jesse. Do not go anywhere. That's not Sheila. Reverend Jesse Jackson, who loves white people, black people, orange people, brown. He loves everybody. He's been giving his whole life to service. Ran for president, and my mother has in her purse night Jesse Jackson for president lapel pin, which she wants you to sign. She's here tonight.
Wait,
She's here. We'll show you in a minute.
Hey, Rose.
She's right over here. Hold on, Winnie. Hold on. Wait. Hold on. I know I ain't in charge of nothing. I'm in charge of this. Hold on. We want to say thank you for your lifetime of service. We want to say thank you for your lifetime of service on behalf of Operation Hope and the Operation Hope family. The Hope Lifetime of Service Award to the Reverend Jesse Jackson.
What's your number, please?
Come on, Mommy. Come on, Mom. Thank you. God bless you. All right. Is he here?
Thank you so much.
First. We're going to do the same. Thanks. As soon as you get the shots done, we're going to ask you to take your seats again. We've got a couple other things, and then Chris Tucker is going to be out. And believe me, it'll be well worth it. Thank you.
Okay, everybody, we need you to reseat. We need to keep the program on schedule. Please take your seats. There'll be plenty of time. Reverend Jackson will be here tomorrow. Ambassador Young will be here tomorrow. Please take your seats so we can get you out of here at a respectable hour. Please take your seats.
Mama.
Hold on.
I should have brought my dollar bill, had it signed.
Right here, look this way, right here. Right here, 3, 2, and 1. Thank you.
Got it, Monty?
Right here. I got it, Josh. Hey, John.
All right.
John.
All right.
Tell him, don't tell me.
There's Chris. Hey,
Don't
lady,
tell
how are
me.
you?
How you doing?
I'm
Good to see you again.
It's good to be seen. You look great. You really do. Honey, I got a dollar bill at home. All right. All right, folks, we're going to ask you to take your seat again.
Give me my card.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
please call.
Get in touch. I will. All right. Right now, I also want to give a shout out to Senator Kay Kirkpatrick, Georgia State Senate Senator of District 32 here in Atlanta. And folks, as was talked about just earlier, please get registered and vote. You're seeing the change. They're always saying we don't show up for midterm elections. If you don't show up for midterm elections on this 2018, then you shouldn't be living in the United States of America. All right, let me go on. At the 2015 Hope Global Forums, just months after the Ferguson situation, Mike Tompkins helped formulate a concept using street art and poetry as a vehicle to bring healing and hope to the community. The results of this mission are on display here tonight and throughout the forum. We are honored to have a number of the St. Startists with us here tonight. With that, it is my pleasure to introduce President Obama's 5th inaugural poet and Startist, Richard Blanco.
Good evening, Atlanta. I just wanted to share a poem that was written as part of this organization and part of the paintings that you see on the other side, and part of the concept of the street art and the art was that we tried to think about the where we are now and the possibility of the future, the light versus the dark. So this is a poem called St. Louis Prayer Before Dawn, and it is true to this title. It borrows from prayer, from the language of prayer. So feel free to join in if you like, especially at the amens. The dark sky amid a vigil of stars, like a black and white prayer, where there is hatred, let me sow love. Amen. Delmar Boulevard with its black and white stripes that divide the city into black and white voices. Listen to the north side, the din of gunfire, the silence of boarded up windows, the vagabond weeds creeping through the floorboards of abandoned homes, still echoing with children who prayed every night. And if I die before I wake, and if I die before I wake, amen. Their parents who pleaded every night, keep our children safe. Keep our children safe. Amen. Listen to its south side, the chit-chat about vacation spots, stock tips, and the alabaster blooms of dogwoods and gardens tended by the help. The meek shall inherit the earth. Amen. Look into their shimmering windows, framing cocktail parties, platters of gourmet cheese, fresh-cut flowers, and the bouquet of Merlot. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Amen. Close your eyes against the sooty plumes of smokestacks rising like a sinister incense, tarnishing the moon for some. Where there is despair, let me sow hope. Amen. While elsewhere, silver moonlight showers suburban rooftops, backyard decks, green lawns, and the Luna moth's green angel wings. For it's in the giving that we receive. Amen. Listen to the Mississippi waters churning brown as the skin of a man with a name but no home, except a shadow in an alley. Blessed are the poor in spirit. Theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Amen. He tries to rest under the arresting rain of fluorescent lights, falling 20 stories from locked-up office buildings, empty of executives but stocked with wealth. Before dawn, some faces resting on tender pillows, asleep under thick comforters. Grant that I may not seek to be consoled as to console others. Amen. Other faces awake, riding buses past the graffitied walls of their homes, mirroring the harsh truth of their lives, on their way to 10 boutique hotels, wash shirts, press skirts, or cast concrete floors for condos they'll never own. Where there is doubt, faith. Amen. The arch, not shimmering steel, but dull as nickel in the dark. The arch, a broken circle, a broken promise. The arch, not a bridge, not a gateway, but a gate closed on St. Louis, trapped in all its black and white. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Amen. Glory be waiting for the dawn. Glory be knowing the only dream worth dreaming is the one we dream together in every color. Where there is darkness, let us sow light. Amen.
Once again, that was choral poet and startist Richard Blanco. And now we listen to Pasha Anderson, and she is with Stardust.
May I have permission from my elders to speak? Asante Sana. My name is Pasha. I'm representing the whole St. Louis, Missouri. And before I begin my poem, I would like you to take a look at the work along either of these walls. I would like to say the names of the artists that could not be here with us. We have Pete and Gecko and Basil and Eugenia and Kababi and Finch and Itchinapa Dale Chambers and Paco and Kid Lou and Apex. And we are parents, we're business owners, we're community workers, we are children, grandchildren, we work in ancient traditions, we work with our elders, we work with the babies, and we use art to live, to talk, to communicate. I know a lot of you heard a lot about Ferguson. I know a lot of you saw a lot of things that went on television, but one thing that a lot of people didn't see that in the immediate moments after, we hear the word activist a lot, but we didn't hear artist a lot. The artists were on the ground, okay? The artists were comforting the babies. The artists were painting the boarded up buildings. The artists were taking food to the people, right? So can we clap it up one time for the artists, please? So in honor and in the spirit of Dr. King, we're asking the question, where do we go from here? Unity. Where do we go from here? How do we bend the light, move wind and wave? How can thought become the action that matches the magnitude of our magic? How does unity happen? Under what circumstance do we take our neighbor's hand, walk fearlessly and stand in the promise of a deferred dream, where we bravely wield our color wheel as both slingshot and as mighty shield? How do we feel? Be us whole in our bones, a vibrant alliance, a network of a shared soul in solidarity and rapport, connected by our cores, undivided, alive at our highest, united we stand. Massively assert our dignity and our worth first. We focus on our now. The only constant, sans change, determining our future, preceding the how, eyes on the prize and hands on our plow, till this earth until our palms blister. Help in the healing of our hardened hearts, harboring of happiness and healthy habits, highlighting the heroes of honesty, hope, higher horizons, hosts of homegrown heirs leading the charge to recharge our stars, bathing in the hearthstone of the energy of this earth home, use our poems and our songs, sit still in the dense fog, reconnect to our majestic, call forth our kinetic, for the energy embedded within our magnetic grants us access to our divine essence. When we awaken to our wonder, strengthen the tenor in our rigor, we will remember and reconfigure. We will find our spiritual center. Where do we go from here? We nurture. We find our soft spaces. We hold that light in our hands. We ease the joy into our dark places. Allow our harshest parts catharsis. Hardened hearts become art incarnate. We smooth out the rough. We soak our seeds in love so they grow into towering trees that will soon provide the breeze for those who breathe in our hereafter. We write our next chapter in the blood of learned lessons. We cultivate and assemble a mass of great new temples, equally strong with expansive bases. Don't base their design on past crimes or hatred. We shape them in patience. We craft their high beams and gilded gold from these broken molds. We do unto others as we would have done to our mothers. We do not other the others. We see ourselves in their eyes, and our principal guide is everyone. Everyone can thrive, and that is where we go from here. Thank you.
Once again, that was Stardust poet Paisha Anderson. We have the YouTube sensation and Stardust, Star Swain, with a number. Star? We got her cut down.
Oh, yeah.
It was supposed to be two. We said, you need one.
The hurt, the pain, the killing, the hate that's causing division, broken dreams and hearts is tearing us apart. Lives being lost. Can someone tell me why? Oh, why? Why did our hopes die? Deception, frustration, confusion. It seems that we are losing. is the worst, but we're the best when we come together. United we stand, together we can win as one. Yes, we can overcome. Stand strong, let fear be gone. We can be together as one. Love's the way we all overcome. No hate or pain, because we can be together as one. Love's the way we all overcome. We overcome. No matter who you are or where you come from, whether from the left or right, whether woman, man, child, brown, black, or white, love is the only way for us to turn the wrong to right. And together we will rise. Stand strong, let fear be gone. We can be together as one. Love's the way we all overcome. No hate or pain, because we can be together as one. Love's the way we all overcome. Yeah, yeah. We can be together. Love's the way we all overcome. No hate, no pain, because we can be together as one. Love's the way we all overcome. Yeah, yeah. Oh, we can be together. Love's the way we all overcome. No hate, no pain, no fear, because hey, we can be together as one. Love's the way we all overcome. Hey, yes it is. Love's the way we all overcome. Yeah, love is, oh, love is the way. Love's the way we all overcome. We overcome. Thank you.
Yeah. Well worth the wait, wasn't she? And once again, that was Star Swain. You can catch her on YouTube. Folks, thank you for being so patient. Now, you're getting ready to laugh. You think Andrew Young delivered some laughs, Jesse Jackson, John Hope Bryant? Well, now you're getting ready to really get some belly laughs. It is Chris Tucker, actor, comedian, the best.
Hey, get off me, John. Thank you. I told John I'm gonna beat him up. I said I was gonna say hello. They think I'm gonna do a whole set. I told him I get funny when I get some money. How y'all doing? Give it up for John Hope, Brown. I'll give it up for John Hope. We met years ago. I'm gonna tell you how we met years ago in Davos. We was the only two brothers out there. I thought he was Jamie Foxx. He thought I was Chris Rock. We almost got in a fight in the middle of the snow, all the way in Davos. But he's one of the smartest brothers I know. This is great, man. How am I gonna follow Jesse Jackson and Reverend Andrew Young? Give it up for Ambassador Young. I can't follow that. Jesse doing his thing. I don't understand a word he said. He talked to me, Chris, you know what I'm talking about? He done told me 10 jokes. I still don't know about the end of that joke. On the man and the rabbit ran and the blah, 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 blah. And then the man thought. I want to stop him, but it's rude to stop him. What did you just say? What did you say? You're not listening? You're not listening to what I'm saying? I don't know what Reverend be saying. I mean it. I need you to come by. Okay, Rev, I'll come by. Tomorrow. Are y'all learning anything? Y'all learn a lot from Jesse? Did you understand what he said? From the cotton fields to the other fields. He be rhyming, though. He could have been a rapper. From cotton fields to the other fields. He's smart. He's so smart, he come up with stuff every 2 seconds. I'm not going to tell you right now. No, give it up one more time for Reverend Jackson. This is the only way I can get in the conference, to sneak in the conference. But yeah, John, we're good friends. And I want to come say hello. I'm going to be here. We're going to do something Wednesday, right?
Chris is speaking on Wednesday. He's closing it out with T.I.
T.I. and Shaka Zulu. Not the real one. The Shaka Zulu who managed Ludacris. The one who managed Ludacris. And Ludacris, he might be here. I don't know. Shaka said he might be here, but I'll be closing out. How do I look up there? I look okay on the screen? I can't see myself. This is right. They should have had a TV over there so I can see myself. I'm cute. Am I right? Thank you. Look, she looking at me. Yeah, that's him. He here. That's him. He here. People don't believe you when you're famous. When you're a celebrity, they don't believe you no more. I went to a store today. The guy was looking at me. I went in the store. He was like, hey, man, you. You look like you. You sound like you. I said, yeah, I'm me, you. Get along, man. I go to the grocery store to go shopping. People don't think celebrities go to the grocery store to go shopping. Guy saw me in the grocery store. He saw me. He tripped out. He was like, God, dog, man. What you doing in here? I said, what you think I'm doing here? I'm hungry. You know, superhero, I got to eat too, man. Have in front of my shopping cart. Tell me without a bread on. Ezekiel bread. I tripped backstage trying to win. How come when somebody tripped, they always tell somebody else, hey, be careful. Hey, be careful, man. But now you be careful. You the one just tripped. This little stuff concerns me. You know when you driving somebody and they don't trust you in the car? Every time you get over, they looking, hey, man, be careful. Why you keep looking? Get out of the way. We're going to have a wreck because you in the way. You ever been in a bad neighborhood and the light just seemed real long? You be like, God, dog. When is this light going to change? Oh, somebody going to rob me. I'm just going to run this like, I'm just going to get the ticket. This mic ain't on. They give it turned off all the other mics. Oh, man, little stuff I be thinking about. Anybody go to church Sunday? Everybody got their camera out. Well, y'all just can't remember it? You remember? You remember we used to remember stuff? People don't want to remember nothing no more. They don't want to remember nothing. I am cute. Oh, there go the TV right there. Sexy self. Oh, if you don't encourage yourself, who will? I am somebody. Just to make y'all say that, just gonna see if y'all gonna say it. I am stupid. Look at y'all. Y'all can't be just saying anything somebody tell y'all to say. You are not stupid. Don't have Jesse Jackson telling y'all to say all that stuff. He's a comedian at heart. Funny than me, just don't care. He was back there trying to rob me. I said, stop, Jesse, ain't got no money. You still owe me $25. And give it up for Ambassador Young. He's the coolest. That's my play daddy. Ambassador Young, Mrs. Young, I think they left. Even though I'm their son, they left. They just, like, I gotta go. Ambassador Young get in his chair, he be gone. Hank Aaron, that's my other play for Hank Aaron hit me one time in his wheelchair. He hit me. I said, man, you used to hit home runs and you hitting people with your wheelchairs now, ain't you? He said, you was in the way like a ball. No. No, I just want to come say hello, y'all. I ain't got much to say. But y'all, you say you're learning some stuff, right? I'm coming here to learn some stuff too, because I got into some tax troubles. I think y'all heard about it, because I was listening to the wrong people. That's the last time I let Wesley Snipes help me out with my taxes. See, it's funny now, but it wasn't funny back then. You know, I got both of us locked up. You gonna tell me one time in Hollywood we ain't had to pay taxes? He was high sometime. We ain't got to pay no taxes, man, please. I'm Blade. Blade don't pay no taxes. I'm a superhero. Superhero don't pay no taxes. I said, what's for you? Hi, that's what you are. No, this is wonderful, though. I'm gonna learn some stuff, and we're gonna learn some stuff. We're gonna talk on Wednesday, so I want all y'all to come back. Y'all gonna come back? We're gonna have, I might, be some other surprises, but after you got me, who else you want to see? You know what I mean? But God bless y'all. Thank you. Good night. God bless you. Give it up for John Hope.
Have you guys enjoyed yourself? Have you enjoyed yourself? So, by the way, Chris is always funny. We were together last week, and we left his house, which you can fit a small fortress inside of. His mama's house. He bought his house. We left his house, and he left in his Aston Martin, went to the AM PM mini market, whatever. We on the phone, and he's like, "Hey man, I lost my wallet. I left my wallet at home. You know who I am, right? I'm Chris. Can you just give me the money? Give me the thing. I'll come back later, and I'll pay you later." Now you know that wouldn't work for anybody else.
At Starbucks. We was at Starbucks.
Starbucks.
Yeah.
It actually worked. He actually gave him.
But I always pass it. I said, anybody pass it forward? You know that thing at Starbucks. They'll pay for your thing. They was like, no, not this time. I said, well, somebody better pass it forward this time. I'm always passing it forward. But you're right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Did you take the money back?
Huh?
Did you take the?
Whoa, that was my pass it forward. The Starbucks is nice, man. Them some nice people up there at Starbucks.
Good night.
Doors open at 7:45 tomorrow morning, and we'll be ready to roll at 8:15. We're going to start on time tomorrow, all right? So I'll see you all. God bless you.